Well. What's cracking, boxing fans? Welcome to another edition of Pugilism Podcast. This is Reed with Pugilism Company, a.k.a. The Black Bert Sugar. The theme of tonight's podcast will be a fine line between pugilism and politics. Starting things off, we're going to go to Mr. Terence Crawford. He's got a WBO welterweight title shot forthcoming against Jeff Horn. Terence sustained a deep bone bruise on top of his right hand, which postponed this title shot of his from the originally scheduled date of April 14th to June 9th. By the time Crawford steps foot back in the ring, that will be the longest layoff of his 10-year career. It'll be 10 months since his last bout, which was when he unified all four titles at 140 pounds against Julius Ndongo. We know anything can happen in a fight, but truth be told, I see Crawford beating the brakes off of Horn. But after that, then what? I mean, Crawford Spence, it's a boxing fan's wet dream. We're salivating over it. But let's be honest, Bob Arum will probably cock-block that one, just like he's cock-blocking Vasyl Lomachenko and Mikey Garcia. I'm not terribly optimistic about Uncle Bob's wanting to do the right thing for the sport. He doesn't want his guys fighting Al Haymon fighters, even when the Al Haymon fighters dominate a particular division, even when it's in the best interests of his own fighter, his own top-ranked fighter, as far as their legacy. At some point, I'm hoping Lomachenko or Crawford or both, they step up and they demand that Arum and Top Rank allow them to face whatever fighters, whether it's a Eddie Hearn fighter or an Al Haymon fighter, whatever promotional ties there may be. If it's the best fight for the sport, let it happen. I would hate to see a situation where, like with Floyd Mayweather or like with Oscar De La Hoya, Bob Arum and Top Rank once again lose a top flight fighter because of their own political thoughts and desires for that fighter's career. Let's not even get into Guillermo Rigondeaux and how he was mismanaged, mispromoted, or really not promoted at all. But I digress. July 14th, Senator of the Legislative District of Serengeti, Manny Pacquiao, will have his first fight since losing to the aforementioned Jeff Horn in July of 2017. Senator Pacquiao, I should say, will be facing Lucas Matisse. There was rumors that Senator Pacquiao replaced Freddie Roach after 16 years. Per these rumors, he was going to bring in his homie Boo Boy Fernandez. If you recall, if you've seen the HBO 24/7s that Pacquiao was a part of countless times, Boo Boy was the chubby Filipino dude. I think he's Pacquiao's homeboy from like when they were children. He was the lighthearted Flavor Flav of Team Pacquiao, for lack of a better term, in my opinion. But after Manny's advisor, Richard Kantz, reported Roach was no longer in the fold, and after a couple articles from Roach stating how he wished he would have at least been notified by Manny and how it hurt him, but he still wished Manny the best, we're now hearing from Manny that he hasn't made this decision. He has yet to confirm who his trainer will be for Matisse. At this point, it would just go ahead and ride the horse that got you there. I'm assuming at 39, Manny doesn't have many fights left in his own mind that he could possibly win. Let's just put it out there. Matisse looked like stir-fried shit in his last bout. Ended up winning by 8th round KO, but my man, he looked horrible for like the first 6 rounds of that fight. This bout here with Pacquiao, whoever loses, they're done. They need to go find something else to do besides box for a living. And whoever wins, they'll just become the name for some younger, hungrier, better at this stage fighter. Going back to my earlier Crawford statement about what next, the logical next step for Crawford would be a date with Pacquiao. But this is something that Bob Arum has been avoiding to put together for years anyway. So why would he all of a sudden, in the 11th hour of Pacquiao's career, do that? It would make sense, but Bob, he's kind of funny with certain fighters in terms of doing what's best for their careers. Anyway, wish the best for Senator Pacquiao. Been very entertaining to me in the boxing world for the duration of his career, and we hope he can go out on his own terms. This coming Saturday, April 21st, got a big Showtime triple header from Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York. Headlined by Adrian Broner against Jesse Vargas. If you recall, Omar Figueroa was the original opponent for Mr. Broner. He sustained an injury of some sort. So in comes Jesse Vargas, who's on paper and in the thoughts of most is actually a tougher fighter. I've said it 1,000 times now. This is a must-win fight for Adrian Broner. My man's got not 9 lives. He's got 129 lives or something. Because after Mikey and the way that fight played out, the Garcia fight I'm speaking of, I didn't see where Adrian had to go. But here he is again. He's headlining Showtime triple header against a tough opponent. As always, Adrian saying all the right things. Loquacious dude, smart dude. He knows what he needs to do. It's just a matter of having the discipline to do it. This particular instance, he's added Kevin Cunningham as his chief second. If you recall, Cunningham led Corey Spinks and Devin Alexander to world titles. So Cunningham knows what he's doing. He's known Broner since Broner was an amateur. And he's not going to put up with any BS from Broner. So in that sense, it's a good hire. Broner's previous trainer, Stafford, that's the trainer that Adrian grew up with. It's not that Stafford's a bad trainer, but you could just see Adrian not necessarily hearing his trainer's voice anymore. Not the trainer's fault, but when a fighter gets to that point, you need to make a switch. Also on that card, we have Jermall Charlo facing Hugo Centeno Jr. for the interim WBC middleweight title. To me, of the Charlo brothers, Jermall, the 154-pound titleist, he's the more technically sound. Jermall, he's got more bells and whistles. He's got the power, probably a tad faster. They're very similar in style, but those are the slight differences I see in the both of them. Also on the card, we'll have Gervonta Tank Davis versus Jesus Cuellar for the WBA 130-pound championship. If you recall, Tank lost, I believe it was the IBF belt, on the scales. And we'll see how his weight does in this particular outing. If he can't make weight again, like, bruh, you're going to have to find something else to do. But we'll have more on this card later in the week. We're going to have pre-fight write-ups, post-fight write-up, and more podcast mentions on this particular front. On the same day, April 21st, Amir Khan will return to the ring against Phil LoGreco. This bout will take place in Liverpool, England. Now, Khan has not fought in nearly 2 years when Canelo Alvarez violently removed him from consciousness in the 6th round. I bring that up to state that Khan has now come out saying he has suspicions about whether Canelo was on performance-enhancing drugs based on Canelo's day of the fight weight. They fought at 154 pounds. That was the contract weight. But Canelo was close to 180 pounds on fight night. This isn't anything new for Canelo. He was pretty heavy when he fought Cotto. That's just what he does. He did the same, I believe, against Chavez Jr. and against Liam Smith. That's just what he does after he's weighed in. I don't believe, well, I know for a fact he wouldn't have needed performance-enhancing drugs to knock out Amir Khan. Khan's a talented fighter, but that chin, man, it just can't take elite level punching, especially when you're moving up in weight to fight a guy. I'm not sure Amir Khan's going to beat Phil LaGreco, truth be told. LaGreco, step above journeyman level, but he's a tough guy. He's not as bad as Earl Spence made him look. Please believe that. And with Khan's chin, any hard shot that lands, you don't know with this guy. You just don't know. Khan should win, but don't be surprised if LaGreco stops him or at least drops him before losing. IJS. Black Bert Sugar, IJS. Since we're kicking Canelo while he's down, let me go ahead and mention Daniel Jacobs, who applauded the Nevada State Athletic Commission for their suspension of Canelo. Now, we'll see their ruling on how long it lasts. Most are expecting 6 months. We'll see what transpires. In Jacobs' words, he said it's good to see that Canelo is not bigger than boxing. I would have to agree. You don't want to know that anybody is bigger than the sport. You want the idea, at least, of a level and equal playing field. So I don't mind the statement. Jacobs will be fighting the weekend after this coming one. He'll be facing Mr. Selecki April 28th on the HBO doubleheader, sharing the bill with Big Baby Miller, who'll be facing Johan Duhaupas. We wish them well in that card, and as we mentioned on our last podcast, there's a good chance that Big Baby could be facing Anthony Joshua in August if he's successful and victorious on April 28th. Let's change it up. Go to Vladimir Klitschko, the retired former heavyweight champion. It goes without saying, but I'll say it anyway. Along with his brother Vitaly, Vlad ruled the heavyweight division in the post-Lennox Lewis era. He lost to Tyson Fury in 2015, which was the worst heavyweight title fight I've ever seen. Fury won a 12-round decision, blah, 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 blah. In his next fight, Vlad lost to Anthony Joshua by a KO. There was no urgency in Klitschko in the Fury fight. He had no passion. Couldn't have cared less that he lost his belt. But he did fight more motivated. He showed some cojones, and he actually gained a measure of respect that he had lacked pretty much his whole career in losing to Joshua. Just by the way he fought Joshua. He went at him. He dropped him. Joshua had to deposit him on the canvas 3 times to even get him out of there to be victorious over Klitschko. Klitschko went out on his shield, as they say. Anyway, Vlad, he favors Joshua to beat Fury. Now, I haven't elaborated on Tyson Fury on Pugilism Podcast, but he's also slated to fight on June 9th versus the ever-dangerous TBA. After beating Vlad, Tyson Fury was banned for 2 years, basically for snorting up half of England. Now, this is some hindsight bullshit on my part, but in hindsight, I knew Fury was in trouble seconds after he was announced the winner over Vlad. My man serenaded his wife mid-ring. I don't want to close my eyes. Don't want to fall asleep. You know the rest of the song. Sweet gesture, but it wasn't one becoming of a hungry fighter who had just won the heavyweight championship of the world. It was the gesture of a content fighter. It told me Fury had done all he had set out to do, and anything else after that was gravy. I knew right then, like rut roll, we got to watch this guy. I don't know if he's long for this world as the top dog in the heavyweight division. And apparently, Vlad agrees. I mean, he even called Fury a fart in the wind in comparison to Joshua. A fart in the wind, I say. In Vlad's words, the other guy like a fart in the wind. It is there and it is gone. Not disciplined enough to continue to be successful. The other guy like a fart in the wind. It is there and it is gone. Not disciplined enough to continue to be successful. That's Vlad's, that's a loose interpretation of his comments. The quote itself is verbatim. The accent, not so much. Vlad's also sparred with Joshua prior to facing him in the ring for real, and Deontay Wilder. Vlad has tabbed Wilder as a dangerous fight for Mr. Joshua. Here we go. Due to his weight, he is extremely fast. He has good power in his hands, and he's extremely fast. Maybe he's kind of wild in his technique, but those punches are coming from who knows where. So, Vlad saying, hey, forget about Fury. Joshua's that dude, but Joshua better watch out for Mr. Wilder. And really, based on his ring time with all three gentlemen, it's hard to disagree with Vladimir's perspective on this. He has a very unique perspective that I don't know if anyone else in the world has. As we stated earlier, there's a fine line between pugilism and politics. We've already spoken on Senator Pacquiao, the representative of the District of the Serengeti. Now let's talk about Francisco Vargas versus Lightning Rod Salka. This fight took place Thursday, April 12th, nationally televised on ESPN2. Salka's a known Republican who actually ran for a seat in the Pennsylvania House of Representatives. I mean, who do you think you are, Senator Pacquiao? Anyway, Salka, for his bout against Vargas this past Thursday, wore trunks with a brick wall pattern and the phrase America First across the belt line. It was a clear anti-immigration message, and he was parroting Donald Trump's promise to build a wall dividing Mexico and the United States. Now, Mr. Salka has the constitutional right to do what he did, but I have the constitutional right to applaud Vargas for beating Salka's ass like he stole something, forcing him to quit on his stool in the 6th round. Like, I get spouting your message, using your platform, but this was in poor taste. You're fighting a Mexican dude, and you want to rock some brick wall trunks with America First. Karma's a bitch. And God has a sense of humor. And I think we saw instances of both of those with this particular fight. Hopefully Mr. Salka's been humbled. People with his with his ideology. His mind will not be changed. If anything, it'll make him even more fervent about his desire to have a wall built. This definitely did not make him more accepting of Mexican people or fighters. I can trust me on that one. I know that. He doesn't feel better about them now that he had the shit beat out of him by one than he did prior. But I'm betting it probably won't be another time where he wears those type of trunks, at least against a Mexican fighter. Yeah, y'all, read Black Bert Sugar. There's a fine line between pugilism and politics. A Puerto Rican senator was recently sentenced to 4 years in federal prison for accepting tickets and an all-expense-paid trip to Vegas for the Felix Trinidad Winky Wright fight back in the day. Now, the senator took a bribe, put in some favorable rulings for the person who was bribing him, and of course, the briber voted for the bribee. Well, somehow these dudes left a paper trail, and there's jail time. The person that bribed the senator's doing 2 years, and the senator himself is doing 4. Man, like I say, there's a fine line between pugilism and politics. With all that being said, y'all, it's about time to wrap it up. Pugilism Company, we're dishing out 3-piece combos, hitting you from all angles, to the head and the body. White meat and dark meat. Articles, podcasts, videos, 3-piece combinations. Like I stated previously, hey, the jab, that's the first part of it. Those are the articles. At 1-2. Orthodox or Southpaw, at 1-2. Those are the articles in the podcasts. And then that hook, at 1-2, and that hook, that really hurts you. The 1-2 sets you up, and that hook does the damage. Okay, well, those are the videos. And as I stated last podcast, we've already hit you with 5 hooks. 5-part Earl Spence series. But hey, please continue to tune in. Please ring our bell. Ring our bell. Please hit the notification, the bell for the notifications. You won't regret it. We'll continue to do what we can, give you a different side of boxing with a historical slant. This is Reed, the Black Bert Sugar. Pugilism Company, out.